Some Rick and Morty characters are pure fan gold. Others are so annoying, they make Glootie look useful. From interdimensional legends to walking disappointments, we're ranking the most loved and most hated characters in the multiverse. And trust me, the last one proves why chaos, brilliance, and pain can still win hearts. He's anxious, awkward, and constantly terrified. But that's exactly why fans adore Morty Smith. From the very first episode, Morty has been our reluctant guide through the madness of Rick's universe. He's the beating heart in a world drowning in cosmic horror, grotesque sci-fi, and moral decay.
Yeah, Rick, it's great. Is this the surprise?
Morty, I had to do it.
Despite being tossed into multiverse death traps and alien chaos, Morty clings to a surprisingly strong moral compass. Yeah, he panics. Yeah, he whines. But when it matters, Morty always tries to do the right thing, even when Rick couldn't care less. His empathy shines in a universe of apathy and destruction. But Morty isn't just the wide-eyed sidekick anymore, he's growing. In episodes like the one where he confronts Rick over his toxic self, we see a Morty who's done being a pawn. He demands control, agency, and respect. And let's not forget his moments of pure badassery, like when he went rogue and unleashed his rage on an alien civilization.
Then make it how it works!
This isn't how making things work.
Get it off the server! You think we're stupid, but we're not! We know apps have something to do with servers!
The server's on the mothership.
Where's the mothership?
It's coming.
Proving he's not just some helpless kid. He's learning to survive Rick's world his way. Even with all his growth, Morty keeps a core innocence fans love. He's relatable, he screws up, he gets hurt, he makes mistakes. But somehow he clings to his humanity, even when the universe tries to crush it. That's why Morty is one of the series' most beloved characters. He's the anchor in the chaos, the reminder that even in a nihilistic multiverse, there's still room for kindness, fear, and hope. But that same family Morty fights to protect? Yeah, one of them is on the opposite side of this list, for all the worst reasons. Let's be honest, no one ruins a scene quite like Jerry Smith. From the very start, he's been the show's punching bag, and not in a good way. Whether it's his clueless parenting, constant whining, or deep-rooted insecurity, Jerry has carved out a special spot as one of the most hated characters in the Rick and Morty universe. Jerry's problem is that he's the human embodiment of mediocrity. He's overly emotional, blindly self-centered, and deeply resistant to growth. While other characters evolve, Jerry just flounders. Even when given opportunities to improve, he somehow manages to mess everything up. Like the time he left the family over his pride, only to end up even more miserable and unwanted.
Yeah, don't move.
And let's not forget how often Jerry becomes a burden. Remember when he got trapped in an alien daycare for Jerry's because he was too incompetent to survive a simple adventure? Fans loved that episode, but mostly because it mocked how useless he really is. What makes it worse is Jerry's toxic passive aggressiveness. He doesn't just fail, he blames everyone else for it.
Guard!
You know, I may technically be from here, but I'm a goddamn interdimensional traveler now. And all of you can kiss my sci-fi ass.
He resents Rick, envies his kids' achievements, and constantly tries to prove his worth in the most cringe-worthy ways possible. He's not evil, he's not even malicious. He's just painfully pitiful. And somehow, that's worse. Even his attempts at redemption crash and burn. Like the time he tried to reconnect with Beth by pretending to be a better man, only to revert to his insecure mess by the next episode. Sure, there are some fans who argue that Jerry's meant to be pathetic, but that doesn't make him likable. It just makes him consistently unbearable. Still, not every family member ended up on the hate list. One in particular went from background noise to fan favorite, and she's coming up next. Summer Smith started off as just the background teenage sister, barely involved, barely relevant, but by the time the series hit its stride, she became one of the most unexpectedly badass characters in the Rick and Morty universe. Fans went from ignoring her to cheering her on every time she stepped up. At first, Summer was just there to roll her eyes at Morty or argue with her parents. But then came the shift. She started joining the adventures, holding her own, and in some cases, completely outshining her brother.
Did you do, Summer?
It was your ship! Your stupid ship did it!
Don't blame my
It
ship!
melted
My
a
ship
child!
doesn't do anything unless it's
killed it
told to do
itself.
something!
In one of her breakout moments, she faced a post-apocalyptic wasteland with total confidence, fitting into the Mad Max chaos like she was born for it. That episode was a turning point.
Give me your blast!
Summer wasn't just comic relief anymore. She was smart, savage, and way more emotionally self-aware than anyone expected. Fans loved how she processed grief, not by spiraling, but by embracing her inner chaos and owning the insanity around her. even Rick started giving her more respect. And when she's not swinging a spiked bat or taking down aliens...
Kill me, please.
Okay, but not because you told me to.
Summer!
Okay, getting darker.
Summer's the only character in the family who challenges Rick with real backbone. She's called him out more than once for being toxic, manipulative, or just straight up selfish. It's rare for anyone to get under Rick's skin, but Summer pulls it off without flinching. What fans love most is that Summer doesn't try to be some perfect hero. She's messy, she's sarcastic, she screws up a lot, but she never backs down. She's gone from sidekick to essential crew, and her evolution is one of the show's most satisfying slow burns. Summer went from forgotten sibling to full-on interdimensional warrior, and fans aren't just here for it. They're obsessed. If you're loving this breakdown, hit that like button and make sure to subscribe for more. And while you're here, tell us in the comments, who's your most loved and most hated Rick and Morty character? But for every character that earned love by growing stronger, there's one who took a nosedive straight into betrayal. And that's exactly who's next. Tammy Guterman had one job: be a normal, slightly cringy high school girlfriend. Instead, she turned out to be one of the biggest betrayals in Rick and Morty history. What started as an innocent prom date quickly spiraled into full-on galactic treason, and fans never forgave her for it.
Birdperson, you are my seed, my worm, my earliness, and my lack of cats. I promise to be yours until your death.
Nice.
Her entire relationship with Birdperson was a setup. While fans loved seeing Rick's old friend finally find someone, Tammy was playing the long con the entire time. The wedding episode started as a celebration and ended with chaos, thanks to Tammy revealing herself as an undercover agent for the Galactic Federation. And shooting Birdperson in cold blood right at the altar. Yeah, that's how you make the hate list real fast. It wasn't just betrayal, it was disrespect on every level.
Everyone here is under arrest for crimes against the Federation.
L'chaim!
Tammy, what are you doing?
Sit your bird ass down.
Tammy?
Birdperson was one of the most honorable and sincere characters in the show, and Tammy didn't just manipulate him. She used him as bait to try and take down Rick. The entire wedding turned into a bloodbath, and fans still talk about that moment as one of the biggest emotional gut punches in the series. To make it worse, Tammy's smug attitude made everything feel even more personal. She wasn't some tragic villain with a complicated backstory. She was cold, calculated, and proud of what she did. Even when she reappeared later in the series, now fully embraced as a Federation enforcer, her presence instantly triggered fan frustration. Her death didn't even feel like redemption. It just felt overdue. That's how hated she became. The writers knew it too. When her arc finally closed, they didn't give her a dramatic send-off or emotional twist. They just ended it and moved on like the audience already had.
Come on, kids, we have to go do a piece of Star Wars.
Tammy's betrayal wasn't just one of the darkest turns in the show, it was one of the most universally despised. But while she tried to take down Birdperson, that character only became more loved because of it. And now it's time to talk about the fan favorite who turned pain into loyalty. Birdperson didn't need flashy gadgets or crazy catchphrases to become a fan favorite. He just needed quiet wisdom, unshakable loyalty, and a tragic story that hit harder than most sci-fi dramas. From the moment he first appeared, Birdperson brought a completely different energy to the chaos of Rick and Morty. He was quiet, blunt, and almost hilariously monotone.
Tammy, I should let you know, I just got out of a highly intense soul bond with my previous spirit mate.
I'm not looking to get into a soul bond. I'm just looking for...
I believe Birdperson can arrange that.
But fans connected with him instantly. While everyone else in Rick's orbit was either crazy, dangerous, or clueless, Birdperson was the only one who truly understood Rick's pain. Their friendship wasn't just surface level, it had depth, history, and emotional weight. That's why Tammy's betrayal at the wedding wasn't just a plot twist, it was a gut punch. Watching Birdperson get gunned down right after opening his heart to someone was one of the most heartbreaking moments in the show. And it hit fans even harder because it showed how even Rick's closest bond could be torn apart. But Birdperson didn't stay dead. His resurrection in later episodes only added more layers to his character. When Rick entered his mind to bring him back, fans got a rare glimpse into Birdperson's emotional core. And more importantly, how deeply he saw through Rick's self-destructive behavior. That episode didn't just revive Birdperson, It reminded fans why they loved him in the first place.
Holy shit. Wow. Holy shit. We almost didn't make it. Jesus fuck, that was close. That was insane. Oh my god, that thing with the thing? Thank you, Rick. Wait. Let me hop back over to my body.
He wasn't just some side character, he was Rick's moral compass. The one person who held Rick accountable without judgment or ego. And let's be real, any character who refers to a child as my friend's teenage offspring is an instant legend. Birdperson represents something rare in Rick and Morty, genuine emotional resonance. He's not funny because he tries to be. He's funny because he's real, grounded, and weirdly profound in a universe full of madness. But where Birdperson brought emotional weight and loyalty, the next character brought nothing but cringe, chaos, and eye rolls. You already know who's coming next, and yes, it's about to get annoying. If you've ever watched an episode and thought, wow, that character exists solely to be annoying, then you already know why Glootie is on this list. Introduced as an overbearingly eager alien intern with a face made for endless eye rolls, Glootie instantly became one of the most despised characters in Rick and Morty. From the jump, Glootie's only real purpose was to push a plot that felt more like a half-baked tech satire sketch than a strong episode. His entire storyline revolves around a literal warning tattoo that says, "Do not develop my app," which of course gets ignored by Jerry because Jerry, but even that meta joke couldn't save Glootie from being one of the most grating characters in the show's history. It's not just that Glootie is annoying, it's that he feels painfully out of place. While most Rick and Morty characters are layered, complex, or at least entertainingly absurd, Glootie is just lifeless.
Hi, Morty. Do you want to develop an
No
app?
thanks.
Rick, why does it say do not develop my app on your intern's forehead?
Why, you want to develop one?
Oh, I'm glad you asked that, Jerry. It's so you don't develop his app. Glootie, go.
His voice is irritating, his personality is empty, and his whole tech intern shtick gets old immediately. Even when he tries to rebel and launch a planet-wide dating app apocalypse, it doesn't come off as menacing or funny. It just feels like pointless filler. Fans didn't fear Glootie. They didn't even enjoy hating him. They just wanted him to shut up. And when you're in a show full of talking pickles, dragons, and sentient clouds, that's really saying something. His entire arc wraps up with a dull finale and zero lasting impact. No big twist, no redemption, no hilarious breakdown, just one more forgettable footnote in Jerry's long history of bad decisions. Even the writers seem to realize it because Glootie hasn't shown up again since. In a show where even side characters can become iconic, Glootie became a perfect example of how not every joke lands, and not every alien intern deserves screen time. But while Glootie flopped hard, our next character took the opposite route, rising from the background to become one of the show's most jaw-dropping creations. When Evil Morty first showed up, no one saw him coming. Just a shocking twist in a plot-heavy episode, until fans realized this wasn't just another Morty. He was coldly calculating, brutally ruthless, and miles ahead of everyone else. And over time, he became one of the most adored and most captivating characters in the entire show. Evil Morty shattered expectations. He upended everything we thought we knew about the Rick and Morty dynamic. While regular Morty was constantly trying to survive Rick's chaos, Evil Morty was rewriting the rules and building his own empire behind the scenes. His reveal as the mastermind behind Evil Rick was one of the show's first spine-tingling moments. And then he disappeared. Silent, mysterious, unforgettable. That's what made him even more legendary. Fans spent years obsessing over his return, crafting theories, memes, and Reddit threads about his master plan. And when he finally came back, he delivered. In the Season 5 finale, Evil Morty pulled off one of the most daring moves in the series, exposing the lie behind the Citadel, unraveling the myth of Rick's superiority, and walking away from the entire rotten, Rick-driven multiverse. That final speech? Iconic. He wasn't just evil for the sake of it, he was exhausted. Exhausted of being controlled. Exhausted of being used. Exhausted of being part of a system that kept Rick's on top and Morty's in chains. He became a beacon of rebellion, free will, and the cost of breaking the cycle. And fans cherished every second of it. Evil Morty didn't need constant screen time to become iconic. He used silence, mystery, and flawless timing to create impact. And when it was time to drop the hammer, he left the fandom reeling. But not every Morty who rose to power earned the same love. In fact, one took things so far, even longtime fans started despising him. It's wild how a character can go from mysterious fan favorite to someone viewers completely turned on. And that's exactly what happened with President Morty. What started as one of the most electrifying arcs in Rick and Morty slowly unraveled into something colder, flatter, and profoundly disappointing. When President Morty took over the Citadel, fans were ecstatic. This was Evil Morty 2.0, an evolved, ruthlessly calculated Morty who outplayed every Rick in the system. His rise to power was thrilling, built on manipulation, politics, and a brutal purge of anyone who got in his way. And we adored it at first. But once the Citadel became his playground, something shifted. President Morty stopped feeling like a revolutionary and started feeling like just another heartless authoritarian. Gone was the emotional weight, the fire, the soul. What fans got instead was a power-hungry Morty with no remorse, no empathy, and no depth beyond icy strategy. It's not that fans expected him to be a hero, but they expected a reason to care. And President Morty gave nothing. His character went from symbol of rebellion to soulless politician. Even in his final scenes, he showed more interest in escaping the central finite curve than actually challenging anything about Rick's world in a meaningful way. Worse, fans felt like his transformation stripped Evil Morty of the mystique he once had. Instead of rising above the system, President Morty became part of the same rotten cycle, just with a new title and colder stare. For a character that once promised to break the rules, he ended up playing by them, just with better PR. And yeah, that iconic yellow eye still looks cool. But style without substance? That's not what fans signed up for. President Morty didn't just lose his edge. He lost the audience's trust. But while Morty's darker versions fell apart, there's still one character that never stopped dominating every episode he touched. Chaos incarnate, genius overload, walking existential crisis, and somehow, still the most beloved character in the entire show. He's toxic, selfish, dangerous, and borderline sociopathic. And yet Rick Sanchez remains the most beloved character in the entire Rick and Morty universe. No matter how many universes he destroys, no matter how many people he betrays, fans can't get enough of the smartest man in the multiverse. Why? Because Rick isn't just a character, he's a paradox. He's brilliant and broken, hilarious and horrifying, godlike and painfully human. He'll invent a time-splitting collar just to avoid making a decision, then turn around and wipe out an entire timeline like it's nothing. Fans love Rick because he doesn't pretend to be anything he's not. He's brutally honest, dangerously self-aware, and never hides behind fake morals. When he's vulnerable, it's raw. When he's angry, it's volcanic. And when he's drunk and spiraling through existential dread, that's peak Rick, and fans eat it up. But Rick isn't just chaos for chaos's sake. There are layers beneath the lab coat, moments where you see the cracks, his failed relationships, his self-loathing, his subtle guilt over how he's impacted his family. Like the time he tried to sacrifice himself in a moment of pure despair, only to survive and silently break down in one of the show's most heart-wrenching scenes. Even with all his flaws, Rick's complexity makes him irresistible. He challenges viewers to think about morality, identity, and purpose in a universe that couldn't care less. He's not a role model. He's a warning, but he's also the heart of the show. Even when he's ripping that heart out and setting it on fire. And let's be real, without Rick, none of this chaos would even exist. Love him, fear him, hate him, or worship him, Rick Sanchez is Rick and Morty. Whether they're fan favorites or walking disasters, these Rick and Morty characters left their mark. But don't stop here. Check out one of our other most loved versus most hated videos next. Trust me, the chaos only gets wilder and your favorite character might just show up on the next list.